The extent of the honey fraud is just skyrocketing. It is getting out of control.
In the last decade, there's been an increase in honey spiked with syrups like rice and corn.
That syrup is not maple. That crab is not crab. Aldi is lying to you. But guess what? It is not illegal. Federal labeling rules let manufacturers sell you a copy as long as one word on the package quietly admits it. Aldi sells these products because every grocery store in America sells these products. Today we count down 30 foods where the label is doing all the heavy lifting. Number 1 is the most faked food on earth, and you almost certainly have a bottle right now. Number 30, pancake syrup. Look at the bottle in your pantry. If it says pancake syrup, table syrup, or maple flavored, there is no maple in it. To legally use the plain words maple syrup, a product must come from concentrated tree sap and skip added sweeteners entirely. Add corn syrup, and that name disappears immediately, replaced by a legally separate flavored category. What you are buying is corn syrup, caramel color, and a flavor compound priced around $4. Real maple syrup runs $12 to $18 because tapping trees is genuinely difficult work. The manufacturer knows the bottle shape and the cabin on the label do the convincing that the ingredients cannot. Just ahead, the flavoring aisle bottle that costs a fraction of the real thing for reasons nobody advertises. Number 29, imitation vanilla. Here is a genuine surprise. The words vanilla flavoring are not the problem. Federal rules require vanilla flavoring to meet the same standard as vanilla extract, just with lower alcohol content. The word that actually matters is imitation. Imitation vanilla contains vanillin synthesized in a lab, frequently derived from wood pulp byproducts or petrochemicals. It costs around $3 for a bottle. Real extract crosses $10 easily and sometimes far more. The difference shows up in anything uncooked, like frosting or custard, where synthetic vanillin tastes flat and one-dimensional. Bake it into a cake and honestly, most people cannot tell. Spend accordingly. If you want more grocery label breakdowns like this every week, hit that subscribe button right now, because this is the kind of thing nobody else is telling you. Coming up, the beverage aisle trick that lets a bottle call itself fruit while containing almost none. Number 28, juice cocktail and juice drink. The word juice on a label means almost nothing on its own. The word beside it means everything. 100% juice is exactly that. Juice cocktail, juice drink, and juice beverage are entirely different products. Those qualified names allow a bottle to contain as little as 5 to 10% actual juice. The rest is water, high fructose corn syrup, citric acid, and coloring designed to look like fruit. You pay $3 for what is functionally soda with a produce photograph on the front. Real 100% juice sits on the same shelf for roughly $1 or $2 more. Flip the bottle, find the percentage, and the entire aisle reorganizes itself in about 4 seconds. Up next, the dessert topping that legally cannot call itself what everybody calls it. Number 27, whipped topping. Check the tub. It says whipped topping, whipped dessert topping, or something equally careful. It does not say whipped cream because there is frequently no cream in it whatsoever. The base is water, hydrogenated vegetable oil, corn syrup, and emulsifiers whipped into something that behaves like dairy. It costs around $3 and sits in the freezer case looking permanently pleased with itself. Actual heavy whipping cream costs about $4, whips in 90 seconds, and contains one ingredient. The manufacturer built an entire product category around convincing you that 90 seconds was too long. Just around the corner, the salad topping that has been vegetarian this whole time without telling anyone. Number 26, bacon bits. The shelf stable. Bacon bits in the salad dressing aisle are frequently not bacon at all. Read the ingredients and you will find textured soy protein, oil, salt, caramel color, and smoke flavoring. Many versions are entirely vegetarian, which has genuinely surprised a lot of people mid-sandwich. A jar costs about $2.50 and lasts basically forever, which is your first clue. Real bacon does not sit in a pantry at room temperature for 2 years without consequences. The refrigerated bacon crumbles in the meat section are the real thing, and they cost roughly double. What comes next has fruit on the box, and legally does not need any inside. Number 25. Fruit snacks. Fruit snacks are candy. That is the entire entry, but the details make it worse. The front of the box shows strawberries. The ingredient list shows corn syrup, sugar, modified cornstarch, and gelatin. Many contain a small amount of juice concentrate purely so the word fruit can legally appear. Nutritionally, these sit closer to gummy bears than to anything grown on a plant. A box runs about $3 and gets marketed directly to parents packing school lunches. Actual fruit costs less per serving and does not require a marketing department to justify itself. Straight ahead, the dairy case product that is legally forbidden from using a four-letter word. Number 24. Processed cheese slices. Look closely at the wrapper on individually wrapped slices. The wording is doing serious legal work. Pasteurized processed cheese food. Pasteurized processed cheese product. Occasionally just cheese product. Each of those phrases means the item failed to meet the federal standard of identity for actual cheese. Cheese product typically contains the least real cheese of the group, padded with milk, protein concentrate, emulsifying salts, and water. A pack costs around $3.50. Real sliced cheddar or provolone costs slightly more. The emulsifying salts are why it melts so smoothly, and also why it never quite tastes like cheese. Tell us in the comments which of these you have in your refrigerator right now, because everybody has at least one. Number 23. Grated Parmesan in a shaker. The shelf-stable. Green Can and its store-brand equivalents have a well-documented history. Powdered cellulose is added as an anti-caking agent, and cellulose is derived from wood pulp. In small amounts, it is legal and disclosed. Federal investigations have previously found products where the amount was considerably less small. Some tested products contained no Parmesan at all, substituting cheaper cheeses entirely. A shaker costs around $4. A wedge of real Parmigiano Reggiano costs more and tastes like a different food. Grate it yourself and the difference is immediate, obvious, and slightly annoying to have discovered this late. Do not skip past the next one because it is green, spicy, and almost never what it claims. Number 22. Wasabi paste. Real. Wasabi comes from a rhizome that is difficult to grow, expensive to transport, and loses potency within minutes of grating. The paste in the tube next to the soy sauce is horseradish, mustard powder, and green food coloring. This is true at essentially every grocery store and the overwhelming majority of restaurants in the country. A tube costs about $3. Real wasabi costs enough that most Americans have never actually tasted it. The heat is also different. Real wasabi is aromatic and fades quickly, while horseradish burns harder and lingers. Nobody is hiding this particularly well. The ingredient list says horseradish right on the front of the tube. What is waiting next has been imitating a shellfish since the 1970s. Number 21. Imitation. Crab. Imitation crab is surimi, a paste made primarily from pollock, bound with starch, sugar, egg white, and flavoring. Federal rules are unusually direct here. If a substitute resembles another food and is nutritionally inferior, the label must say imitation. That is why the package says imitation crab meat rather than anything more flattering. A package costs around $3. Real crab meat costs anywhere from 4 to 10 times that. The color is painted on. That orange edge is food coloring applied to mimic a cooked shell. It is genuinely fine in a California roll and genuinely terrible, pretending to be a crab cake. Just ahead, the muffin ingredient that has been impersonating a berry inside your breakfast. Number 20. Blueberry bits in baked goods. This one upsets people more than almost anything else on the list. Many packaged blueberry muffins, bagels, and cereals contain no blueberries at all. The blue specks are frequently made from sugar, corn syrup, modified starch, hydrogenated oil, and artificial coloring. Blue number 2 and red number 40 combine to produce something that photographs beautifully and grew nowhere. A package costs around $4 and prominently features photographs of actual berries on the front. Check the ingredient list for the phrase blueberry-flavored bits, which is the tell that no berry was involved. Coming up, the coffee additive that manages to contain neither coffee nor cream. Number 19. Non-dairy coffee creamer. Powdered and liquid coffee creamer typically contains no cream and frequently no dairy whatsoever. The base is water or corn syrup solids, vegetable oil, and sodium caseinate, which is a milk protein. That last ingredient is why many non-dairy creamers are not actually safe for people avoiding dairy entirely. A container costs around $3 and lists sugar as one of the first ingredients in flavored varieties. Actual half and half costs roughly the same, contains 2 ingredients, and does not require a chemistry background to parse. The flavored versions are essentially liquid dessert, which is fine as long as you know that is the trade. Straight ahead, the confection that is legally banned from using the word everyone assumes applies. Number 18. Chocolatey coatings. Watch for the word chocolatey. Also chocolate flavored, chocolate coating, and chocolate candy. Real chocolate must contain cocoa butter to meet the federal standard of identity. Compound chocolate replaces that cocoa butter with cheaper palm kernel oil or other vegetable fats. It is dramatically cheaper to produce, easier to work with, and it never quite melts correctly in your mouth. That waxy texture on cheap candy coating is the vegetable fat announcing itself. A bag costs around $2.50. Real chocolate chips with cocoa butter cost closer to $4. If reading grocery labels this closely has never occurred to you before, hit that like button so more people see this. Number 17. Instant mashed potatoes. Instant mashed potatoes are real potatoes, which makes this entry different from most of the list. The problem is everything added after the potato leaves the field. Dehydrated potato flakes typically arrive with mono and diglycerides, sodium acid pyrophosphate, and preservatives like sodium bisulfite. The flavored varieties add substantial sodium, frequently reaching a significant share of a daily limit in one serving. A box costs about $1.50. 5 pounds of actual potatoes cost around $4 and makes considerably more. Real potatoes take 20 minutes and require exactly one skill, which is boiling water. The next one has been quietly wearing a health halo made of food coloring. Number 16. Multigrain and wheat bread. Multigrain means the bread contains multiple grains. It says nothing about whether those grains are whole. Wheat bread is similarly meaningless since white flour is also made from wheat. Many loaves get their wholesome brown color from caramel coloring or molasses rather than from whole grain flour. The only phrase that matters is 100% whole wheat or whole grain listed as the first ingredient. A loaf costs around $2.50 either way, which is what makes this particularly annoying. You are paying the same price for a nutritionally different product because of a color and a word. Just around the corner, the freezer case item that lost the right to call itself what it obviously is. Number 15. Frozen dairy. Dessert. Flip the carton over. If it says frozen dairy dessert instead of ice cream, that was a legal requirement. Ice cream must contain at least 10% milk fat to use the name under federal standards. Frozen dairy dessert falls below that threshold, replacing butterfat with air, stabilizers, and vegetable oils. The texture difference is real. Less fat means more stabilizers doing the work fat used to do. A carton costs around $3.50. Real ice cream at 10% milk fat costs $1 or $2 more. Manufacturers made this switch quietly during a period of rising dairy costs, and most shoppers never noticed the wording change. What sits ahead has borrowed a country's name without meeting its definition. Number 14. Greek-style yogurt. The word style is the entire story here, and it appears in small print for a reason. Real Greek yogurt is strained, which removes whey and concentrates protein naturally. Greek-style yogurt frequently skips the straining and uses added starches, gums, or milk. Protein concentrate to fake the thickness. The protein content is the giveaway. Strained Greek yogurt typically delivers substantially more protein per serving. A container costs around $4 either way, which means the shortcut version is pure margin for somebody. Compare the protein numbers side by side on the shelf, and the imposter identifies itself instantly. Do not skip past the next one because it is green, creamy, and mostly not avocado. Number 13. Guacamole dip. The distinction is guacamole versus guacamole dip, and those two extra letters change everything. Products labeled guacamole dip can be built primarily from other ingredients with a modest amount of avocado added. Common formulations lean on water, modified food starch, soybean oil, and coloring to reach the correct shade of green. A tub costs around $3.50 and sits directly beside the real thing. Actual avocados cost more, brown faster, and require you to own a knife and approximately 4 minutes. Check the ingredient list for avocado in the first position, because in the dip versions it frequently is not. Coming up, the gourmet oil that contains no truffle and never did. Number 12. Truffle oil. Truffle oil is one of the most successful marketing achievements in modern food. The overwhelming majority contains no truffle whatsoever. The aroma comes from a synthesized compound called 2,4-dithiapentane. That single molecule replicates one note of a truffle's complex aroma, which is why truffle oil smells intense and one-dimensional. A small bottle costs around $8, which feels like a bargain against actual truffles costing hundreds per pound. Plenty of professional chefs refuse to use it entirely, describing the flavor as artificial and overpowering. Read the label. If truffle appears nowhere in the ingredients, you are buying olive oil and a laboratory compound. Drop a comment telling us which one on this list you did not know about, because there is always at least one. Number 11. Chopped and formed. Deli meat. The deli counter phrase to watch for is chopped and formed, or sometimes just formed. That means the meat was ground, mixed with water and binders, and pressed back into a loaf shape resembling a whole cut. Sodium phosphates and carrageenan hold it together and help it retain the added water you are paying for by weight. Formed turkey or ham runs around $5 per pound. Whole muscle deli meat costs several dollars more. The visual tell is texture. Whole muscle meat shows grain and irregular edges, while formed meat looks suspiciously perfect. You are buying water, salt, and binder at meat prices, which is exactly the business model. Just ahead, the freezer item where the word chicken is doing considerably less work than assumed. Number 10. Processed chicken nuggets. Chicken nuggets are chicken, but the percentage varies far more than most people would guess. Cheaper formulations include mechanically separated chicken, skin, and a substantial water and binder content. Modified cornstarch, sodium phosphates, and textured vegetable protein bulk out the interior before breading goes on. A bag costs around $6. Frozen chicken breast costs roughly the same per pound and is entirely chicken. The phrase to look for on better products is whole breast meat or all white meat, which are meaningful claims. If the ingredient list runs longer than 3 lines, the nugget is doing more chemistry than farming. Straight ahead, the fish that never touched actual smoke. Number 9. Smoke-flavored salmon. Traditional smoked salmon is cured and then cold smoked over real wood, which takes time and equipment. The budget alternative sprays or soaks the fish in liquid smoke flavoring, which takes neither. The label typically says smoke flavor added, and that phrase is the entire tell. A package costs around $6, while properly smoked salmon runs closer to 10 or 12. The texture is different too, since real cold smoking involves a curing process that firms the flesh. Liquid smoke is not dangerous or scandalous. It is just considerably cheaper than the thing it replaced. What comes next is a seafood item where the star ingredient is barely present. Number 8. Crab cakes with filler. Frozen and refrigerated crab cakes are one of the widest quality ranges in any grocery store. Cheaper versions are primarily breadcrumbs, mayonnaise, egg, and seasoning, with crab appearing well down the ingredient list. Some use surimi entirely, which means the crab cake contains no crab whatsoever, only imitation crab. A package of 2 costs around $7, which sounds reasonable until you calculate the actual crab content. Real lump crab meat costs enough that any genuinely crab-forward cake will be priced accordingly. Check the ingredient order. If breadcrumbs appear before crab, you are buying a bread cake with opinions. Coming up, the dairy aisle staple that has been legally distinct from butter for over a century. Number 7. Butter spread and margarine. The tubs beside the butter use careful wording, and none of them say butter alone. vegetable oil spread, buttery spread, margarine. Each phrase indicates a product that is not butter. Butter has a federal standard requiring at least 80% milk fat from cream. Spreads use vegetable oils, water, emulsifiers, and coloring, with milk fat percentages varying from some to none. A tub costs around $3 while real butter runs closer to $4 or $5. Many spreads have improved substantially in recent years, but they bake differently because the water content is higher. Tell us in the comments which grocery label has annoyed you the most, because this list barely scratches the surface. Number 6. Pre-shredded cheese. Pre-shredded cheese is real cheese, which puts it in the better half of this list. It also contains additives that shredded cheese from a block does not. Potato starch, powdered cellulose, or natamycin get added to prevent caking and mold growth in the bag. Those additives affect melting, which is why bagged shredded cheese never quite melts as smoothly as freshly grated. A bag costs around $3 for 8 ounces. A block of the same cheese costs less per ounce. You are paying a premium for the shredding and receiving anti-caking agents as a complimentary bonus. Do not skip the next one, because the word on the front means almost nothing anymore. Number 5. Sourdough bread. Real sourdough is fermented with a wild yeast starter over many hours, which develops both flavor and structure. Commercial sourdough frequently uses commercial yeast for speed and adds vinegar or citric acid to fake the sour taste. There is no federal standard of identity protecting the word sourdough, which means anything can claim it. A loaf costs around $4 in a grocery bakery and looks convincingly artisanal in a paper sleeve. The ingredient list tells you everything. Real sourdough needs flour, water, and salt. If you see added yeast, vinegar, dough conditioners, or a list running past 5 items, that is a sourdough impression. The real version also keeps considerably longer without preservatives, because the fermentation acids do that work naturally. A loaf that molds in 3 days despite a long ingredient list was never fermented properly to begin with. What is waiting ahead has been sold to you by weight, and some of that weight is water. Number 4. Chicken breast in solution. Check the fine print on packaged chicken breast for a phrase like enhanced or containing up to 15% solution. That solution is water, salt, and sodium phosphates injected into the meat before packaging. You are buying that liquid at chicken prices, and a significant share of it cooks out in the pan. Enhanced chicken runs around $3 per pound, while unenhanced runs slightly higher. Factor in the injected water, and the cheaper package frequently costs more per pound of actual chicken. The sodium content is the other cost, since enhanced chicken can carry several times the sodium of plain meat. The phosphates also change texture, giving the meat a slightly spongy bounce that regular chicken does not have. Once you notice that texture, it becomes genuinely difficult to stop noticing it. Just around the corner, the counter where the fish on the label frequently is not the fish in the package. Number 3. Mislabeled seafood. Seafood mislabeling is one of the most persistently documented problems in the entire food supply. Multiple international investigations across many years have found substantial rates of species substitution in retail and restaurant seafood. Cheaper species get sold under the names of expensive ones, and once a fish is filleted, visual identification becomes nearly impossible. Red snapper is among the most frequently substituted names in testing, along with several other premium species. You pay premium prices, sometimes $15 a pound or more, for a fish that costs the supplier a fraction of that. Buying whole fish, or buying species that are difficult to substitute, is the only real defense available to a shopper. Frozen fillets are the hardest category to verify, since freezing further disguises texture differences between species. Salmon is comparatively safer because the color and fat lines are distinctive enough to make substitution obvious. Coming up in the second spot, the pantry staple with a global adulteration problem nobody talks about. Number 2. Honey is one of the most adulterated foods in global trade, and the methods have grown genuinely sophisticated. Rice syrup, corn syrup, and sugar syrups get blended in at levels that standard testing struggles to detect. Ultrafiltration removes pollen entirely, which conveniently also removes the primary way to trace a honey's geographic origin. A bear-shaped bottle costs around $5, while genuine single-source raw honey costs $12 to $20. Look for raw, unfiltered, and a specific stated origin, since those terms narrow the field considerably. Real honey crystallizes over time. A jar that stays perfectly clear and pourable for years is worth a second look. Crystallization is a sign of genuine glucose content doing what glucose naturally does at room temperature. Manufacturers spent years training shoppers to see crystallization as spoilage, which conveniently favored the processed version. And that brings us to the single most faked food in the world. Number 1. Extra virgin olive oil. Extra virgin olive oil is the most consistently documented fraud in the entire global food supply. Extra virgin is a legally defined grade requiring mechanical extraction and specific chemical thresholds for acidity and defects. Investigations across decades have repeatedly found bottles labeled extra virgin that failed those standards on testing. The common adulteration is blending cheaper refined olive oil, or entirely different seed oils, into a bottle carrying the premium label. A bottle costs around $8, while genuinely verified extra virgin frequently costs $15 or considerably more. Look for a harvest date, a single country of origin, and a dark glass bottle since light degrades the oil. The phrase "packed in Italy" means the bottling happened there. It says absolutely nothing about where the olives grew. That single distinction is the entire loophole, and it has funded an enormous amount of fraud for a very long time. Olives are a crop with variable harvests, and refined oil costs a fraction of genuine cold-pressed extra virgin. That price gap is exactly what makes the category worth cheating year after year across multiple continents. Real extra virgin should taste peppery at the back of your throat and smell grassy rather than greasy. If your bottle tastes like nothing at all, that is information worth acting on. 30 foods. 30 labels doing legal work that the ingredients cannot. None of this is unique to Aldi. Every grocery store in the country sells the same categories with the same careful wording. The difference is whether you read the qualifier beside the name before you put it in the cart. Thanks for watching. Go check the olive oil in your kitchen right now and tell us in the comments whether it lists a harvest date. Want to see the same label test run on Walmart, Kroger, and Trader Joe's? Click on the video on the left. See you there.